Hey guys, here's a video to help you with some of the examples for using the converse. And the first thing you'll notice is, most people ask, how do I know when I'm supposed to use the converse? When am I supposed to use the original? And the clear indicator to me is when they're trying to get you to show that the lines are parallel. That's when you know you need to use the converse. Because in the original theorems, they were giving us the parallel lines. If you look at all those examples from the other, homework, every single example you had, the lines were parallel. They had the actual parallel symbols in there showing you that you can use those parallel lines to get the angles. In this case, though, we're going to use the angles to prove that the lines are parallel or not parallel, depending on what we get. So let's see what we've got. The first example, they're saying, all right, suppose angle 1 and angle 7 are congruent. So angle 1 is here, angle 7 is here. They're telling me these are congruent. Well, when I look at this, the first thing I always ask myself is, what angle pair are they giving us? Well, hopefully you recognize these as alternate exterior angles, and they're telling us that these are congruent. Well, if alternate exterior angles are congruent, then the lines must be parallel. That's exactly the converse theorem. So we would use the alternate exterior angles converse. And that one actually is a theorem. Okay, and you can get those right off the notes that you got from class. The alternate exterior angles theorem basically says if you've got alternate exterior angles that are congruent, you can conclude the lines are parallel. Not to be confused with the original theorem, the converse, just the alternate exterior theorem, where we said if the lines are parallel, then alternate exterior angles must be congruent. It's just literally switching the if and the then and using it appropriately based on the problem. Okay, exterior. All right, let's look at the next one. The next one, they're talking about these two angles, angles 4 and 5, add up to 180. Okay, the sum of those two angles is 180. Well, in other words, these two angles are supplementary, right? Because supplementary means they add up to 180, the two angles. Well, we have a theorem that says if consecutive interior angles or same side interior angles are supplementary, then the lines must be parallel. Okay, again, not to be confused with the original, which started with the lines being parallel and ended with the supplementary. So since they're giving us these are supplementary, we can conclude that the lines are parallel. M is parallel to N because of the same side or consecutive, depending on how you want to write it, same side interior angles converse. I know I'm running out of room here. I think I wrote more this time. It's the same idea. That they're basically saying, why is M parallel to N? Well, M is parallel to N because of this. M is parallel to N because of this. Okay? So this is sort of your reason. This is your justification. I probably wrote more than I needed to here, but you get the idea. This is the key. This is the key. We're using the converse appropriately because we're proving that the lines are parallel. All right, how about 5 and 3? 5 is congruent to 3. I recognize those as alternate interior. And since they're congruent, well, I can use the alternate. I'm just going to abbreviate to fit it. Alternate interior angles converse theorem. Okay? How about 8 and 4? 8 and 4, it's hard to mark on here. You can kind of see 8 with 4. Hopefully you can see that 4 and 8 are actually corresponding. Right? 4 is kind of in the bottom left corner of the group, while 8 is in the bottom left corner of the group. They're in the same position within their respective groups. So this would be the corresponding angles converse, and this is the one that's actually the postulate. So you can see all the pairs are the same. We did alternate exterior already. We did same side interior already. We did alternate interior already, and we did corresponding already. What we didn't do was prove the lines were actually parallel. We were given the lines are parallel. All right, how about this one? If angle 1 is 135, here, let me use a different color. If angle 1, let's just say, is 135, and then angle 5 is 110, well, then is that enough to get these two lines to be parallel? Well, hopefully you realize 1 and 5, the angles that they're giving us are in corresponding positions, right? 1 is in the top left corner, 5 is in the top left corner, corresponding positions, but the angles aren't the same measure. So these two lines can't be parallel if those two angles aren't the same measure. So are the lines parallel? No. 135 degrees is not the same as 110. Corresponding angles must be congruent if this is going to work. Okay, oops. Corresponding angles must be congruent if the lines are going to be parallel. All right, that's the only way you can prove it. for the corresponding angles. How about, let's see, what's the last one here? If angle 3 is 119, what does angle 6 need to be? All right, so identify the pair, 3 and 6. Hopefully you see those again as same side interior or consecutive interior, and the relationship for those two is supposed to be supplementary. Well, if the measure of angle 6 plus the 119 equals 180, then we're in good shape. So if the measure of angle 6 is 61 degrees, this will work. So what does the measure need to be? It needs to be 61 because of the consecutive interior angles converse. All right, so you're asking yourself the same kind of questions you asked, when we first learned the pairs, except this time after identifying which pair you have to also realize, am I given the lines are parallel or am I proving the lines are parallel? If you're proving the lines are parallel, if you're explaining why they're parallel, you're going to be using the converse. Every single one of these use the converse. If the lines are already parallel, then you would just use the original theorems from the previous section. Okay, hopefully that helps a little bit. I'm going to make a part 2 for this one, and if you need any help or clarification on this one, please ask. Sorry about my handwriting there, and if you need any help, just let me know. Thanks, I'll see you later.